there, everybody. Welcome to the Heat Army podcast. What an exciting weekend it is. I mean, every weekend's been exciting so far this season, Mickey, but two pivotal games coming up. Dare I say, could even be decided if results go certain ways. But we just got to take each game as it comes, and a massive game coming up on Saturday at home to Southport. So get your tickets. Right, before we get any further, you may have seen on Gateshead FC's social media that there had been sadly a passing of one of the FA Cup players from the 50s, Bob Gray. We've got a picture here to put up there. He was obviously the man in the grey top there, goalkeeper's top. So obviously commiserations, and I read about, I didn't get any confirmation fully if he was actually the last surviving member of that team, but as I say, it's a very sad time, but I say put a great stint in for the club, when you read back
what appearances for the club.
Yeah, what that club achieved was absolutely fantastic. Also, as well, a little bit of housekeeping. On Saturday before the game, Gates FC Foundation and Food Bank of United again. So if you would like to add anything to the Gateshead Food Bank, I think between 1 and 2:45 you can drop off goods. I'd imagine on the website it'll tell you what they can accept as well. So another great thing being done by the Gateshead FC Foundation there. So, big pat on the back to them. Show is fully interactive as ever. We have our guest ready in the background. We're going to bring him in very, very shortly. Interactive, you can send your messages like this, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. We'd love to have your messages to come in just like that. And we're doing all right. And thank you. Keep them messages coming in. Let us know if you're going to both games this weekend or if you're only going to one. And as I say, we are providing full match commentary for both games. So we'll be driving down to Chorley on Bank Holiday Monday to bring you that game as well. Right, just before we bring our guest in, we're going to play just a message out to say thank you to our sponsors. When we come back, we'll be bringing Matthew Raisbeck on to join us. Just before we bring him on, I'd like to put on a little clip of one of the memorable moments of Matthew covering Gateshead, and just enjoy this one.
Moore has it, need to get the ball in the box, down the line to Baxter, cross needs to be good, cross is there, on a body with a header, chance for Shaw, it's in! John Shaw's won it for Gateshead in the 92nd minute, and they will beat Darlington for the first time in 6 attempts on a body with a shot off the crossbar. They worked it wide to the right, a ball into the box from Baxter, on a body with a first header, and then it fell to John Shaw. He headed it in past Sam Russell. The Gateshead players celebrating a huddle in front of the travelling Heat Army. John Shaw's 24th goal of the season.
Absolutely brilliant header. Quality.
Well, Matthew, great memories there, and hopefully the club will be creating some more this weekend, or in the next 7 days at least.
Yeah, nice to be with you both, and thanks very much for having me. Yeah, that was, well, what was that? New Year's Day, was it? 10 years ago, I think. Yeah. I remember that. Obviously, Paul Dixon at the end with his analysis. We were sitting on the other side to the camera, so it's just sometimes weird, isn't it? And you'll know when you've been at a match and you're behind the goal, or you're on the other side when you see it in reverse. But yeah, it was no less of a quality header. And a great win, and it was good actually, wasn't it, at that time to get one over on Darlington because of previous games, and there was a bit of a rivalry for a few years, wasn't there? That's a real high point, that goal.
Certainly was, and we had a great result against Dalton in the other week as well. Here's just the lucky playoffs again in a hurry. Matthew, a fantastic season for Gateshead. It just the momentum's kept building, and I think there wouldn't be a Gateshead fan in the world would not have took where we are now at the beginning of the season to say that we're, it's in our hands, 3 wins, and we have the championship.
Yeah, well, look, Dave, Mickey, you've been at more matches than I have this season, obviously, but when I've been, it's been a real pleasure to watch this team. I mean, it's always fantastic watching Gateshead, and I go as often as I can. It's not often enough for me, but this year when I've been, and I haven't won all the games that I've seen, there's just something really special about the team. And, whether it was the FA Cup run or the performances and all the goals in the league, you just felt that it was building towards something special. And we're on the verge now of it being, I think, beyond anyone's wildest dreams at the start of the season, because you got to remember what Gateshead are up against in that league, and all the teams with their bigger budgets and greater expectations, and in the case of some clubs, grand plans for progression. But here Gateshead have come through because, and I haven't seen all the other sides in National League North, but they're quite clearly the best team. And usually the best team goes up and wins the league, and the best team deserves to win the league. And I know Brackley have got a brilliant defensive record, but I obviously we're biased, but I think Gateshead deserve it, and that's why it's such a pivotal few days. And I'm nervous. I am worried because you don't want to get into this position, do you? And I'm sure you feel the same, as does everyone watching, listening. And for it to go wrong, because the players don't deserve that, the staff don't deserve it, and neither do the fans or the club. So hopefully it can be a really good bank holiday weekend, or if it has to go to next weekend, well, as long as Gateshead are still top and it's in their hands, that's a good outcome, isn't it?
Certainly is. I mean, the teams that we've all got to play on the running, of course, unless anyone's been living under a rock, we've got Southport at home on Saturday, then away to Chorley, quick turnaround, bank holiday Monday, and then Hereford, last game of the season. And I wouldn't say they were bogey sides, but these are sides that have pulled out some good results against good sides this season. It's by no means an easy run in at all.
No, it's not. But then you look at Brackley as well, and they were at Darlington, weren't they, the weekend? And yeah, I thought Darlington might be able to get something. Obviously, Blythe have got to play Brackley, haven't they? It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, if Blythe got a result that kept themselves up, with certainty. Yeah. And also, if he said the title, I think they would probably take that, because for themselves they need to stay up, and I'm sure we would gratefully receive a bit of help from Blythe as well. Yeah, they're not easy matches, but they're teams that Gateshead can beat, and when you're top of the table, you're probably expected to win most of your games, and that's what they've been doing all season. So where they are now, you would say that you would expect them, wouldn't you, to win probably two of them. It's just which two. It would be better to be playing teams at the bottom, but then they've got something to fight for. And I know the other sides are they're not out of things, are they? But yeah, I take your point on the difficulty of the fixtures, but they've just been winning and picking up results all season. I mean, look at the Kidderminster game. That was one that we were all jittery about, and then they absolutely blew them away. Same with Brackley at home in December, wasn't it? So when the pressure's been on, they've delivered, and that was, I think, probably never more in evidence than against Darlington, 2-0 down midway through the second half, and wow, what a comeback. So yeah, I back them to do it.
Definitely. Went through the gamut of emotions versus Darlington, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's if there wasn't many neutrals there, but if you were a neutral, that was a cracking game to watch.
Yeah,
and obviously, regardless of what happens this season, the club has come so far, and there's been a few announcements with great videos by Jack McGragan, the Gateshead FC media manager, of players tying down not just for next season but the season after. These are local lads that have set this league alight this year, not only with a bit of flair but a lot of hard work. And they've deserved what they've done, but it just shows you how far the club's come to be able to be in that position to offer players a bit of a future, and a bit of stability, and it gives the club more stability as well.
Absolutely. And look, there's nothing worse, is there, as a fan, when it comes to individual players, when you really like them and they do well for your club and then they leave, and players always move on and squads evolve. But we've seen it in the past, haven't we? Whether it was when John Shaw left and went to Luton, obviously Marcus Maddison is another one, but even players when they get released at the end of seasons, like Carl Magnay after the Wembley year, when Marwood left and went to St Mirren, wasn't it, in Scotland? All these, even JJ O'Donnell going to Blythe in the summer, that was a shock when he left. So to be able to tie these players down, because there's no doubt, because of how well they've done, that other clubs would have been interested, and some clubs have been in for, you know, for certain players. I'm quite sure over the course of the season. But I think what is telling is that they want to stay. So what does that say about Gateshead when the club is now, given the progress that's been made over the last 3 years, the way it's being run by the people at the very top, but also the way that these players are being managed and looked after by Mike Williamson, Ian Watson, and the staff with them underneath that, and everything they've got here. Because I'm quite sure, I think we all agree that there are players in that team that could go and play at least one league higher. There's some that probably should have played in the Football League that haven't already. There are others who are there that would have had other options last summer, and yet they're here. And you've just seen this year that it's the right blend. So keeping hold of them, because it is something special, is so critical. And with the quality they have, as well as all being good lads and having the right attitude, whatever happens over the next couple of weeks, to have them at Gateshead is so important for next year. And I also think, and maybe we'll come on to this, but actually the core of this team is good enough for the league above. And okay, it was only 2 FA Cup ties, but they saw off a team from a league above. So with a few signings, additions, if we get the outcome that we want, yeah, I think this team is pretty close to being a very strong side for the league above. Being professional and full-time, having stayed like that helps as well. But it's great to see players getting tied down, because I think it represents good news for Gateshead and shows that the club's in good health as well. The fact that they want to stay when they probably could go elsewhere.
Another thing as well, you mentioned about tying them down, and it'll be a fantastic shot in the arm for attracting players as well from the likes of Sunderland, Newcastle, Middlesbrough, maybe even a little bit further afield if players are willing to uproot and move for whatever offer might be on the table. But for young players now, the likes of Ryan Bailey, we had it in the past with Baxter, Chris Gate, and Phil Cave, but that was many years ago. There hasn't been many players in between that now. And we're starting to see the Ryan Baileys, Dan Wards, Jack Hunters that have been in the under-23 setup or come through the system at Newcastle, and they're getting a chance. And they'll still be talking to lads at the academy at Newcastle, and they'll be thinking, well, there's an option across the river. I don't have to maybe go around the country and earn about the same by the time I pay me board,
Yeah, well, I remember speaking to Jack Hunter with JJ actually when he, because he's obviously flirted with some media work over the years, and he was doing a piece with us. This was probably 3 years ago now, about Gateshead, with Jack Hunter, and I remember JJ did the interview, and Jack said that he could have gone to another under-23 side, but wanted to come and play football. And often players, when they get released by a Premier League or Championship club, they have a big decision to make, because they probably could stay in the academy system. Yeah. But the benefit of coming to play football I think is there for all to see. And it takes me back to something that Paul Dummett has said in interviews. And I remember when he came on loan to Gateshead and did well, and then went on to have another loan spell, a successful one at St Mirren, and then came back to Newcastle, and he's been a part of the first team squad for almost 10 years now. But he said that at the time that he went to Gateshead on loan, so this was it 2011, 12, I think.
Time ago. I've been asleep since then, man, Razor.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, well, but he said that there were other players in the academy at Newcastle at the time that were questioning him and saying, "What are you going there for? Why are you doing that?" And he said, well, he wanted to play football, but also it proves to managers and coaches that not only can you play competitive football where it matters, where people are, it's their livelihoods, especially at that level, because they don't earn the money that you do higher up, but it shows managers of other clubs higher up in the league that you can be trusted. And it shows managers maybe at a parent club that actually, yeah, if I need to pick him, I can rely on him. He knows what it's about. He's had experience. So I think a move to somewhere like Gateshead, whether it's permanent or whether it's on loan, even though it's a drop down for some of these players, it gives them that opportunity to play in a professional league, or in the National League North, mostly professional. Obviously, the league above is pro, and there is that shop window effect as well. But but sometimes it's maybe good for them just to get out of the academy system and go and do it for themselves. And you look at the likes of Owen Bailey, who's been, when I've seen him, he's been sensational this season. Yes. Really pleased for him because he's had some horrible times with injury, but he was always very good when I saw him at Newcastle's academy. So, you know, there's a great example. And that's what I mean. He probably would have had other options in the summer, and he chose Gateshead, and he made a great decision. One that I'm sure he's absolutely delighted about, because it could end up with a championship winners medal. So, yeah, it's...
and also it showed a lot of Ryan's character as well. We've spoken about a lot of the players.
Ryan.
So Ryan's his brother. I don't know why I keep doing that. I've never even seen his brother play. And obviously the character of this young team, all from the northeast, they're all working for each other. There doesn't seem to be any egos, even when, you know, the strikers, even though they've got so many goals, they're selfless to a fault sometimes in front of goal, passing the ball about. It's a wonder we've got as many goals. But, you know, it just shows you that, you know, with the right environment, players can thrive locally. Absolutely.
And I think the club has done the right thing and deserves a lot of credit for the way that they've put the squad together, because they could have looked outside the northeast or the north of the country and gone further afield and brought players up. I know there's been loan players not from northeast clubs this season. But if you think back to some of the years in the National League, as time went on, you know, there were players coming from absolutely everywhere, weren't there? I mean, I remember when Yemi Odebaid and Eddie Odiambo came in under Ian Bogie, and they'd been signed from the south, and it was like, whoa, after local lads had brought the club up and kept them up, now they're casting their net further afield. And you know, as time went on, there were plenty of other players, and that's good, because it means that obviously they want to come and play, and it's an attractive club to play for. But I think there's just something nice and relatable for fans, isn't there, when you see like a northeast group and a core like they've got, and the fact that a lot of them know each other from Newcastle because they were there together. I don't think that does any harm. But you're right. I mean, you just see it, and you see the way that they interact with each other on the pitch or off the pitch, and it's just a really good feel. But I think the tone is probably set from the top by the manager, because look, he's been in successful dressing rooms in his career at Newcastle, probably other places. He's been in dressing rooms where things haven't quite gone so well. So I think he, with all of his experience, you know, he knows the right culture, and the culture is absolutely spot on.
That was the thing I was going to go on to about the culture. Obviously, you know, they've got this drive, they've got this work rate, they've all got a standard that they've set now, and that the fans know. Even, I mean, I'm sure the manager holds them to the standard as well. But whoever comes in is going to have to step up to that standard. You know, no one can come in and coast. You're going to have to work and cover the grass, because we've seen it during games. If someone's injured or isn't able to, you know, do the job that's asked of them, they're replaced. And that's the beauty of having a competitive squad the way we have at the moment. You've got to be on your game to be in there.
Yeah, but that's it. Everyone drives each other on and pushes each other on. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they all want each other to do well and want the team to do well. And I think you can see that they really care, can't you? And, you know, if I can make a comparison with Newcastle, when they went down, a lot of players were moved on. This was 2016. And probably a lot of the players that left didn't want to be there, hadn't wanted to be there. Those that came in, got them up, kept them up, and a lot of them are still there. And, you know, and now obviously better players are coming in, or players who've, you know, got different qualities, but there's still real appreciation for that championship team that did so well, because not only did they achieve on the pitch, but they're just good characters, good people, and they cared. And that's what you want to see, isn't it? And you can see from this team that they all really, really care. You know, go throughout the side. I mean, again, look at someone like Greg Ollie, who is, I mean, he's probably the best player in the league, isn't he? With the greatest of respect to others in terms of
30 assists in the league, nearly.
Yeah,
well, that's some stat, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, he could
absolutely frightening statistic.
You know,
add the goals as well. Oh.
Yeah,
it's just been a joy.
that he does, and you've seen it in the league above as well. And he could be playing somewhere else, but he's here because he likes it, because he cares, and he wants to do well for Gateshead. And I think that's just there throughout the team. And I think that's probably because of the way that the club is run and the whole ethos that they have, but also the culture that exists in, from Mike Williamson, but also just because they're all good characters as well as being good players. And it's such a likable team, isn't it? And that's important as fans. And that's the comparison with Newcastle. That was a likable team that got them up and that kept them up, whatever limitations they had in the Premier League. So you don't forget that, do you? So whatever happens, there'll be great admiration and gratitude for the players for this season.
Definitely.
Is as good a football as they all are. Like you said, when you speak to them, they're as nice as guys as good as footballers. That makes sense. They're just so down to earth, and obviously Mike Williamson's drilled the process into them. Even the fans are talking about the process now. I mean, if Mike Williamson was leading the cult, I think everyone in Gateshead would follow him.
Quite the thing, because we talk about the process, and obviously when I've done the commentary, I'll say we've got to believe in the process. If we go a goal down, we're going to play our game. We know chances will come. And when I listened to the Darlington game when I couldn't get the game when I had COVID, I'm not going to say they mocked the way Gateshead passed the ball around the back, but I don't think they realised what they were doing. The process as it is, that they don't realise that we're trying to pull players out of position by getting them frustrated because the ball isn't moving forward, and then we latch on that. It was quite a strange thing because they stopped talking about it when we went 4-2 up and we're passing it around the back. So it was one of those commentator curses there. But yeah, it was
the one question that needs asking is: Razor, are you in the understairs cupboard?
I turned the light down because it's too bright, and also because of the position, it looks like it's shining off the top of my head. So I just put a
I seen it before he turned the light off. It looked like he had a halo. It was the same.
Well, Razor's got a halo at Gateshead anyway.
He has.
I was trying to avoid any comments like that. Dark. Yeah.
I know Simon Pride ribs you about it, didn't he?
Yeah, because when we do our Total Sport show at night, I'm on at 6 to do the latest from Newcastle, and some nights I'm at home and I'm just in this room here, but he often jokes about me being in a cupboard under the stairs or a crisp cupboard, where I keep all my crisps. Apparently, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get from him. He's he comes out some curious lines, and that's one of them. But no, I'm just in a spare bedroom, so the back of the house, nice and quiet.
Before we let you go, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Obviously, you covered many a game at Gateshead before going on to be the Newcastle commentator. What are the most memorable games, bar the Wembley and semi-finals? What games stick out to you, the games that you covered?
Yeah. Well, obviously, not that game against Darlington, but that moment, the John Shaw header. I think there's probably some... most but not all from the Wembley season, going down to Barnet when they scored 1-0. John Oster played up front, didn't he? And Chandler scored a header. And that was right at the start of the unbeaten run, which I think was 14 games, wasn't it, to get to Wembley? 12 in the league, and then the 2 playoff ties. So there were games like that, and I went to a few away matches that year. That you just remember because again, like this season, you just felt that it was building towards something memorable, something really special. I mean, there were others. There was a game at Macclesfield the previous year when there was no home ground, but it was an away game, and won 4-0. I had another goal disallowed, and they absolutely took Macclesfield apart. And I'm thinking, well, like we all know how good that team is, and they should never be in relegation trouble. And I mean, in the end, finished, what was it? Was it 17th, but had, I think, more than 50 points. And I just remember that, and I'm sure were they 3 up at half time, maybe 4 up at half time. I remember that and thinking, like, wow, like that is good. And that was part of why I enjoyed watching them, because the Gateshead teams that I've seen have all been really good. You know, the first year that I watched was the first year up after promotion to the conference then, so 2009-10, and that year was a struggle at times.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was an admirable effort that kept us up. Sometimes we did look wanting in a lot of games, didn't we?
You're right, but like beyond that, I think maybe the following year wasn't quite as comfortable as later seasons. But I've been very lucky because, unlike you two, I mean, you've seen highs and a lot more lows than I have. It's been mainly good teams doing well, and normally in the league above. So that's the way that I look at it. And you know, whatever people on the outside might say, Gateshead for 10 years showed that as a club they could compete at the top end of the top level of non-league football and very nearly get into the Football League. So for me, that is where the club needs to be, and that's where it can be, and hopefully will be, whether it's next season, you know, all being well, or in a couple of years. And then who knows? But yeah, you asked me a couple of games before I went on a tangent. I mean, the Wembley thing, without wanting to go into it, is something that I don't think anyone will ever be over, because it was just so devastating. And I think about it a lot, genuinely a lot, because I really felt they were going to win. And yeah, you've probably discussed it many times why they didn't, but it was really hard to recover from. But then start of the next season, Torquay, wasn't it, opening day, and like Marcus Maddison was just sensational. So there's another great memory, you know, from them.
He looked a cut above that day, didn't he? Had the extra space, he's touched. He had just progressed as a player, and you could see that he was.
Goals he scored.
Oh, I mean, I think one of them was the outside of the boot that he hit it with, wasn't it? It was just a sublime finish. Yeah.
They couldn't live. And they'd just been relegated as well, and that was, you know, a welcome to the conference at the time. I remember actually his last game. I went. It was at Altrincham, and I was allowed to travel with the team. I went on the bus, which is very good of them. I mean, that doesn't really happen now with the media, but you know, obviously I had a good relationship with Gary Mills and everyone at the club, and they said, "Oh yeah, just come with us. Come on, you know, on the team bus." And Maddison, yeah, he was asleep for most of the journey. But yeah, he set up a winning goal for Chandler. And it was just a few days after the heavy defeat by Grimsby at home. And remember the goalkeeper, Alex Baird, he played again and kept a clean sheet. But I remember when we got back to Ramside, the team bus, and Gary Mills pulled Maddison to one side. And I didn't hear the conversation, but a few days later he was gone. And yeah, the club made great money off him. I mean, look, there's been so many over the years, because I would do a lot of commentaries for the BBC website, and you know, there were a lot of cup games and cup runs in that time. But for me, I always enjoyed the conference and the games against maybe bigger clubs when Gateshead got the better of them. And maybe there's no better example of that, apart from Wrexham away, the 7-2, which I wasn't at, than Luton over at Carlisle.
Yeah,
because that was a stunning performance, wasn't it? 5-1, was it 5-1 in the end?
5-1 or 5-0.
Yeah, so many. I probably should have had a lot of games, but yeah, it's great. And this season, while I was at the Alfreton game when Alfreton just was spoiling for 60 minutes or something after they went 1-0 up. Matt Reed, wasn't it, up front? Yeah, and you know, those tactics might work for them, but the comeback and then that great goal from Greg Ollie when he just cut through the gap, that was brilliant to turn it around and win it late. So that was really really nice. So there's a good one from this season, and obviously the Darlington game, which is one of that last half an hour is one of the best experiences I've probably ever had watching football live.
I mean, obviously, I've been watching Gateshead for 25 plus years now. I can't ever remember a Gateshead side come back from games like they can this season. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2-0. It just doesn't the process that should be the word of the season. The process that doesn't change. It doesn't deviate, and just the belief. That's the most beautiful thing about this season. Obviously, the wins, the goals are fantastic, but just to know that you've still got a chance going into the last 5 minutes is quite remarkable. And if it was in the Premier League, they'd be lauded for what they've done. And that's why we're trying to do the podcast and push it out. Some more people do find out about it, but this year has been just beautiful, regardless of what happens. Let's hope we get the grandstand finished. But at the moment, just got to enjoy it and savor it. And I think we should be in for more of it with the players we've tied down.
Well, just on your point there, I think that's so important over the next few days because as the Darlington game showed, and even as the Chester match showed a few weeks ago, and I was listening to you, Dave, your commentary that day while I was in the house because Newcastle weren't playing, and I should have gone to the game, but I decided against it in the end. I don't know if my nerves would have taken it, but that is the thing, isn't it? You believe in them, so even if it doesn't go well from the off, even if they fall behind, whatever Brackley are doing, they've shown time and time again that they can come back. So you don't have it all your own way over a season. And even look at the Premier League now. There's 2 teams at the top there. Newcastle play them both in their next 2 games. Neither side deserves to finish second. Someone's got to miss out. So you can be a great team and it might not come off. But I think, like you say with Gated and Mickey, I know you agree. You're nodding along that. If they are behind, you'd back them to come back. Or if it's tight, you'd back them to win it because of the quality that they have and the goals that they have up front. I mean, we haven't really talked about that, but I mean, those...
Just on that note, those posted here on Gateshead social media that Paul Blackett is back in training, which is great to hear. Hopefully, he might be able to get involved before the end of the season because he's been an unsung hero. A lot of goals from the bench. He's had to bide his time, and when he's come on, he's took his moments and some great goals. He's been unlucky to have been behind 2 other strikers that have been scoring so many goals. But I mean, you were at the Altrincham game, weren't you, Matthew?
No, I wasn't. No, I was at Brighton that day, and I was quite pleased with myself. 2-0 up. Time kickoff, and then we had commentary of that one on the radio, and I was listening to it, and
there's me on there saying
yeah. I thought they'd blown it like Oxford under Gary Mills, 2 up in the cup, and I thought no, but then what a comeback back at that day.
Yeah, what a night that was. Oh, what a night that was.
And also as well, I mean, when Black had come on against Charlton as well, he didn't look out of place. He come on and just made it. I think the Charlton defender thought, oh no, not another one with pace because something to follow Macaulay Landstaff for a good 60, 70 minutes as well. So, but yeah, the firepower's there, and hopefully they're all finding the back of the net this weekend. But Matthew, thank you very much for joining us. It's been.
I've got a few questions for you.
Sorry, I'll get them in now. Just on the screen.
Go on,
I was going to say, from when you first started going, who was your favourite player, and who's your favourite player now?
Well, in the team that I first watched, probably James Curtis. Although Darryl Clare was obviously popular because he was scoring the goals and scored the goal, didn't he, on the last day to ensure safety. Now in this team, I don't want to pick anybody out because I might have to speak to some of them over the few days. I mean, I don't want to pick anyone out from the current team. As for a favourite player that I've ever watched in a Gateshead shirt, it's very difficult. I'm not sure. I mean, it's so hard. I could probably give you an 11, but I haven't got it written down. It's hard because of where I've been around it, but I've been quite close to it at times. You get to know some of them a little bit and talk to them, so you get to like them as well as people, not just players, especially the Wembley team. And from the latter years of Ian Bogie through to sort of Neil Aspin, to get quite close to them. So it's hard, but I mean, at the start, Curtis obviously, because I mean, you could see that he was just very, very good, and I mean, what a legend.
Have you spoken to Gary Mills since last Saturday by any chance?
Since
last Saturday?
Since last Saturday? No, I haven't.
He got the sack from Corby Town, but they announced it 10 minutes before the game ended.
I didn't know about the
not the greatest thing, that is it? It's
timing.
That's...
Well, we saw him, didn't we? The talk-in that he did in November. And I mean, it was just great to have him there to reminisce and go over the good times and talk a little bit about the circumstances that led to him leaving, which was a huge blow for the club. Yeah. But great to see him and Darren Caskey as well. And then saw them again after Graham McDonald's funeral, the former commercial manager at the club a couple of months ago. I don't think that he was enjoying his time in management recently as much as he had done in the past. But that is a curious way to announce it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets back into the game, because I think he's got a lot more to offer still.
Oh, he's a legend. He's such an inspirational figure. And I used to think that when I used to go across to speak to him, after like 10 minutes with him, and sometimes we'd be there for an hour, you'd do the interview and then you just have a chat, and he was so good to me, so good to other members of the media, and like you come away feeling better about yourself and better about life and more positive about football and what Gateshead are going to do. So if you can do that to you as someone who's just
we were lucky to have him on the podcast.
What's like footballers, yeah.
We were lucky enough to have him on here, and we spoke to him for about 20 minutes before we came on air, and I think it put him at ease. But once he got at ease, he really enjoyed it, didn't he? And he just enjoyed talking about his time at Gateshead. Of course, we all know he had a great time.
Well,
he'd done the Wrexham podcast, and they were pulling holes in him, weren't they?
Yeah, apparently, I think he was a little bit dubious after that one, but we'll put him at ease, so that was all right. But really good.
It's been hard for most managers at Wrexham, hasn't it? But I mean, with Gary Mills, he just had such a presence and an aura, and like I say, just the feeling that I would get from speaking to him. I've been very lucky to be able to interview a lot of managers and some big names on a regular basis. I mean, Steve Bruce had presence, big personality, really, really nice, and funny, and not stupid. And I know the way that he came across on camera, on tape, upset a lot of Newcastle fans, and I know all the reasons why, and I totally understand it. But away from that, you see why people like him. Yeah. Rafa Benitez, I mean, just on another level, like unbelievable. But the feeling you get after 5 minutes with Rafa Benitez, for me, is the same that you get from Gary Mills, just because of the personality and the way that they spoke about football, but the way that they made time for you as well. And special person, definitely.
Did you know what all of those former Newcastle managers had in common? They've all got a picture of Mike Williamson on their desk.
Even Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Do you think Eddie Howe sounds a bit like Mike Williamson?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about this. I think Mike Williamson was at the Crystal Palace game last Wednesday. I think he was expecting to go. I don't know if I didn't see him there, but I thought they're quite similar, and I think those two would get on. And hopefully Newcastle and Eddie Howe will be able to help him at some point. Maybe give him some time. I think Eddie Howe would, because he likes to help other coaches. But yeah, the similarities, maybe the way they sound and possibly the way they speak as well. But actually, if you're going to make a comparison, well, I think that just shows how brilliant Mike Williamson's been for Gateshead, and also how lucky we've been to have him.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Newcastle's not getting Ollie anyway.
Well, they've got
the boot.
A big price. But no, Matthew, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. Are you going to be able to make it over on Saturday for the game after the Newcastle game?
Both Saturdays, yes. Monday, hopefully, at Chorley. And I just want to say finally, just thank you for having me on. I have been on once before, but it's nice to speak to you, and I do tune in from time to time. But I know you've been keeping this going for several years, and I remember when you first started, and we were on Sunday nights to begin with. All those years ago. But the fact that you've kept it going has been really important for the club, because I know that media coverage of Gateshead has been something that's irked the fans, probably the lack of it, especially when in the league above. There are a lot of teams now in the same league in the Northeast, which can maybe make it difficult for some people to devote the kind of coverage that you might like. But to have such good fan-run media like you do with this, and such consistency of what you do with the podcasts and also the commentaries, is really important. And like I've said, I listen to them when I can as well. So I just want to compliment you on the work that you've been doing, how good it is. Also the fact you've kept going, because
Just blush.
it's good. It's important, I think, because it helps keep the message and the word out there for the club. And the fans are very good at that. Fans have helped to save the club, probably on more than one occasion, right? So they're very, very important in everything Gateshead does, and that's what you get at a level like this. And it's why it's so nice to come and watch Gateshead, because of the relationship between club and fans and players and fans, and what you do is a big part of that. So keep going, and hopefully you'll be celebrating, as we all will be. If not this weekend, then next weekend. But thank you for having me.
And thank you very much.
While we're blowing smoke at each other, I've got to compliment you, because you started all the commentaries off for us. Davies took up the mantle since you left. So as a Gateshead fan, I really, really appreciated that, Razor.
Because we didn't have it beforehand. It was very, very
sometimes you got stopped by the union, I think it was, in the end, wasn't it? Because you were doing it off your own back.
No, well, not quite. I mean, very quickly, after the promotion in 2009, I wanted to commentate and follow football. Being a Newcastle fan, ideally one day then, but the BBC let me practice basically and do some Gateshead games online, but I couldn't do it with any regularity because of my other work, and I just kept doing them, and then we got more on the radio, but that was as the club was doing better. Did some away games, did Luton away on the radio, Forest Green twice, lost 1-0 twice, Barnet, many others, and I did some away games for the website. So a lot of it was off my own back, but some of it was on the radio as well. And I think that was at a time when the club was really desperately trying to get more out there. So, I think we just felt that because the club was doing well, that there was an opportunity to do it. I know some fans would have liked more. It wasn't always possible. But now, obviously, you're providing the commentary on the games, and you mentioned Jack at the club as well. But he does a great job with his videos and all the content. I mean, it's incredible to think that he doesn't really have much help, and he's doing all that brilliant work himself.
Amazing stuff he puts out. Even just like the I'm saying just the away day videos that he puts out. It's a lot of work, a lot of editing, as well as his other duties. And we can't sing Jack's praises enough. The things
and Rory before him as well. Sorry to cut in, but also alongside what you do. I mean, Dan Bell with his videos from every match, and that's that wider point about fan media. Every club, there's so many different options now, but with Gateshead, it's been you leading that way and doing it for a long time. And it's really important for the fans, but also I think for the club, and because you do such a good job, I think that reflects well on Gateshead as well, because it is a club that's always struggled to sort of find its place and struggle for prominence, but the achievements of the team on the pitch can really help with that. So hopefully over the next few days we'll get that as well, and fingers crossed it goes the way we want, and we have a good weekend.
Definitely. It's great. Well, thank you, Razor. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully see you at the games in the next week, and hopefully we're all celebrating.
Well, thanks very much, John. And
we might see Razor's money at Chorley. I'll take a picture for Simon Pride.
What was that?
I said, we might see your money at Chorley. I'll take a picture for Simon Pride.
Well, I'm still working on Chorley, but I'll see. I'll come and find you at whichever games I'm at. But certainly,
definitely. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Razor.
Take care, Razor. Lovely to see you, bud.
Cheers.
You too.
Bye.
See you later. Bye bye.
There we go, Matthew Racebeck. Absolutely fantastic to have him on. Say a bit of a
consummate professional, which is quite the opposite of us too.
Razor's absolutely fantastic. Inadvertently, I didn't realize I was having free commentary lessons, because I would sit near him after I had when my legs got worse and I couldn't get up the stand or sing songs. So I was inadvertently getting training, listening to Razor, picking up all the good things, of course. Charles Waff, since Mike Williamson, Ian Watson, always have a quick chat and ask how I am. Makes me feel part of the club. Fantastic, taking pictures for 11 years and some beautiful pictures as well. Mike Williamson, Ian Watson, we've had them on the show. We like to keep our powder dry on that one. We don't want to have them on a lot. Yes, it might bring in a lot more viewing figures, but let's get them on when it's begin the season, end of the season, maybe sometimes halfway through. Get something when there's proper things to talk about and not just go over the same questions. That's what I'd like to do, and hopefully in the coming weeks we might be able to get them on, if not both, and have a fantastic podcast with them. Right, Taylor, the introduction to the Pitside videos was genius. You can also hear the ball boy calling the Darlow keeper a mug after the ball went in.
I was class that. I listened to that myself. I thought, did I just hear that? And I rewound it back.
That was quite
fantastic.
Good.
And fair play to Tommy Taylor. He was mugging him off during the game, and Jack's come back with the tweet, and he's took it on the chin, and
he did. He come back and he said, "Well, you've got to take it back." But right, follow our social medias. We're back in a minute. We'll take predictions also as well. If you're going on Saturday, remember, get your tickets early. It's going to be a busy one. Get there early to park up as well if you're driving down to the game on Saturday against Southport. But get down there. That's where you need to be. Yes, well, Mickey, this is a real pivotal weekend, isn't it?
This is. I was thinking the other day. I can't remember it being this close ever for anyone. Not for a long time.
No.
It's such an important weekend. We've had relegations, and I remember we went down to Alton and won 3-1 when Boss scored. Remember? I don't know if you were down there that day.
No, I wasn't that one, no.
But that's as close as I've come. It was relegation battles when Darryl Clare scored. But this is different gravy, isn't it? This is to win a league.
This is the character of the team. We know that's there. We know what they can do on the day, and hopefully they've got 3 of them days in them. I'm sure they have. They'll be very well. I mean, follow a couple of players on social media, of course, because we send thank yous to them when we've had them on the show and stuff. We go through the proper channels through the club first to get them on the show, and then thank them personally afterwards. And they were having a team bonding session the other night, so that, they're out there, that they're doing it together, they're in it together, and they'll be in the trenches together this weekend. Whether we're having to dig deep in both games, or if we get off to a flyer, who knows? But they'll be doing that process. And to be honest, I've got to make a little prediction here. I might be completely wrong, but it's a guess I'm going to go with. The end of season video from Jack McGragan will be called The Process.
Total process.
Total process. That's what it should be.
It's. I mean, it feels like 5 minutes since the first video come out, and we're talking about. We'd just come out of lockdown. First match for me was Kettering, and it just seems like 5 minutes. The season just flew.
It has.
Since I went back, and that first game back.
I think it feels like it's going quicker because we're going quicker because we had a lack of it. The early finishes to the season. One of the seasons didn't even count. So it is just just flying by. Predictions as well. We'll take predictions. Some people have already sent them in, so you can do that. Emily has asked us to mention the food bank. We did mention it earlier on, collecting between 1 and 2:45. I'll put the picture back up for the where are we? There, I'll find it 1 second. There it is. There we go. So I'd imagine if you go on the website, it'll tell you what they are available, what they are allowed to collect as well. So please do that. Great cause.
Might need more of. So we'll get digging in your back of your cupboards, chaps. Anything.
Definitely.
Someone's got nothing, and you've got a tin of spaghetti in there. That tin of spaghetti will feed somebody.
It will do.
Please get out. Please get stuff down there. Do as utmost as you can.
Well, Sam Pendleton has put, evening lads, 3 huge games for us. Hopefully a big crowd on Saturday to cheer the lads on. Yes, let's hope it is. I'll be on the pitch if we win next Saturday. If we win the league, of course. Well, I'll try and get past them burly security guards all day. As long as you don't run past the commentary table. Sam Pelton's prediction 2-1. And Liv Walden has also put 4-1. Also, as well, there'll be the second last chance you can get your Heat Army podcast mugs. If you'd like to get one, you can come to the commentary position before the game and at half time, and maybe after if you catch one was packing away. £7 each. If you'd still like one, I'll put a picture up of the mug. Where is it? Well, that's the design that's on the mug. There we go.
And Nikki Jacobs is absolutely in love with her mug. She absolutely loves it.
Oh, good. I would say thank you very much.
Was our favourite birthday present she told me on the quiet.
Was it? See, well, you know, we are the housewife's favourite.
So Matty was the number one son that day, I think.
Oh, good. Fantastic. We've got every voice counts. Wink, wink. Yes, if you've seen the posters on that one, well done. Tip of that. Jack McGragan on that.
When I seen it straight away, but that shows you my education, I suppose.
Mickey, we haven't spoke about the ladies yet. You were there. They had a midweek game, of course, this week.
Unfortunately, they had one of them games. They got beat 6-3. The best team won for me. But it was a weird one to watch because they had a good spell, and then they had a really bad spell, and then they had an excellent spell.
Yeah.
But
we do endeavour to get the ladies on a Thursday night, but they do have training. So it's if we are going to do it, we have to do pre-record. We are going to have to get Dion back on and a few of the other girls as well. They deserve their time on the podcast.
On Tuesday night, Monty was outstanding. Absolutely out. So was Lindsay as well. Got a couple of knocks as well. Poor Jade went off with a tweaked the hamstring, and Katie Lemon collided into the goalkeeper and cut above her eyebrow. I mean, it wasn't Terry Butcher, but China.
Not nice. We've got big shout out Monday. Chorley fancy dress, get involved. Fun day Monday. What are you going to be wearing? Are you going down to Chorley? Let us know what your fancy dress is.
But I don't know what to do yet. I've got an idea in my head, but it's getting the stuff.
Well, keep an eye out for Mickey then.
No, we'll have to make something as well. It's for Greg Ollie, actually.
Mr. Lucas put, I don't want to play Chorley. Well, it's just as well you're not in the team.
Look,
I can see why Mike Williamson. I can see why Mike Williamson didn't bring you in on a 12-month contract. But also got here soy sauce costume as a shout. There we go, soy sauce.
I call Greg Ollie posh lad, didn't I? So
yeah. Are you gonna go as the Monopoly man? Are you?
Pretty much. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
There we go. Right, we want you to get in contact with the show. Still got about I thought we had more time than that left, but if you keep sending your messages, we'll keep going. We want let's have a little look. We'll play this one.
Like and subscribe and hit the bell. And burning up. He not me. He not me. He not me.
Yes, they're both starting to get a little bit more inquisitive about Gateshead and asking to come to games. So, and say the Gaddis clan could be adding to the attendance, hopefully. So,
Dave, I'm going to ask you a question. What's been your favourite game you've seen so far this season?
Oh, I think the Brackley one at home. I thought it was a
Kidderminster was a good performance, mate.
I missed Kidderminster, didn't I?
I
missed that one. I missed Dalton and Kidderminster, which was a devastator. I thought the Chorley one was where I started to have belief that we can get up to get the top position after Christmas. We we battered them that day. It was just an all-round good performance against a fantastic defence, may I add. I mean, look what that defence has done this season.
A good side. I mean, Altrincham away was my favourite one this season by a mile.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent in the cup.
Well, we've got here, 1 second, John Laverick is going as a checkered flag. See the Heat Army over the line. That's a good one. We've got Dave Allen as well, looking sharp in the training. Lads looking sharp in training. Can't wait to see these fames. Fames? I don't know. It must be a typo there. Cautions said the broccoli one. Occasions. Well, there we go. We're getting some messages tonight. I loved it when Mike, Greg, and Macaulay and Lewis were celebrating after the Darlington game. Yes, there's some great picture, that isn't it?
That's the first show of emotion we've had from Mike Williamson. He's normally calm, cool.
Yeah,
he takes it on his stride, but that meant a lot to him. That win, you could tell that.
Oh yeah, sorry, captions. That should have been there. I would say this is a good one. Yeah, when that was quite exciting when we beat Telford at home to go top of the league. That was a good game. That was nice.
That was the night Paul Blackett ran Theo Street into the ground, and he thought, "You've seen him like look relieved when Blackett come off and Macaulay come on." I felt for the lad that day. I really felt for him.
Yeah, we got here Williamson turned into a winger in the Darlington game. He's got that tricky footwork, hasn't he? He can do it. And 1 second, here we are. I can take pictures for the full game, and after my lens failed, tried to out a new lens for the ladies on Tuesday. Looking forward to taking winning goals on Saturday. Well, that's great. Good to hear that. Charlie will be back in action at the game with his big lens out, and
Charlie on Tuesday night actually.
Oh, good. I've got to remember to try and keep this chin up so I don't have this big double chin and suck me gut in, because he's a sly one for capturing you from the other end of the when you're sat there and you're like,
taking pictures of me eating pies.
Aye, there's a marketplace for it, Mickey. I know that the MILFs.
I think he must just be following me.
I don't think so. I think he's selling them to the players' mums. They just know that they want a bit of pie action with Mickey Barris. Oh, he's got a chicken and leek.
Tell you what it is. This year I've met a lot of the players' families.
Yeah,
like the Baileys and the Ollies, and obviously the Scott clan and Matty Jacobs lot. And hey, it's fantastic to come up and I'll see. We'll watch the podcast or.
Yeah, I know.
Why do I always wear a cap? And
the way my hair's, when I'll be joining you. Look, it's gone. I'll be joining you next season. We're going to have a range of Heat Army caps next year.
Well, I've got my lights here and the chains on my glasses, so I'm going to put my cap on.
Well, there we go.
How to deal with that?
I'll have to get some spray on hair, I think, for next season. 2-0, I say, and 1-1 on Monday. Well, I would take that as long as we can win on the following Saturday. But as I say, get down. I know we're providing commentary, but the lads need you there. They need the support. You've seen the Gateshead post with Owen Bailey, the quote, the lads want fans there. They deserve fans there. If you can make it and you're in the Tyneside area, get along on Saturday. Get along the following Saturday. If you're able to travel, if you're going down, be loud, be proud down there at Chorley. Drive the lads on. They'll really appreciate it. If you can't travel, or if you've got, God forbid, COVID, I know it's rife at the minute. I fell foul to it the other week. We will be providing the commentary if you're listening from abroad. So please do interact like you've done on the show tonight. Fantastic, and keep it going. And Mickey, I have to say, I'm starting to get a bit nervous now. I've talked about it more.
Nah, look, what'll be will be, Davey.
But I mean, what will be. Hopefully, Blythe can do us a favour. It's the only time I want Blythe to win or draw. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And there we are, JJ last minute winner for Blythe. Well,
I've said it to you, David. We've spoken about it before. Could Blythe do it a favour? Yes, they possibly could. But they'll have to play a damn sight better than they did when we played them at the stadium.
Definitely. Well, I mean, a win would secure their survival. So there's a lot. They're not going there and going to roll over by any stretch of the imagination. Just so we don't progress. That won't even be on their mindset. They want to keep that club up. Liv Walden, it's a privilege to support this club. It certainly is, and we're glad that. I say Liv has become a big contributor to the podcast this season. We thank her for sending all our messages. It's a real joy to have new people interacting with the show, and that's one thing we'd like you to do is share the show. Come on, especially if what could happen in the next few weeks, we could have a massive party on coming shows. So let's get as many Gated fans around. Tell everyone in the stand, did you watch the podcast this week? Watch it next week. Let's get everyone talking about it, because it's for us to push out there. This is the fan show. Let's get it out there, talk about our club, because the way they're playing at the moment and what they can achieve deserves to be talked about by more people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Liv come along, but to start watching Gates, she might have been here a long time, and I apologise, I don't know. But since the Soul took over, this club is a completely different beast from the one 3 years ago.
It certainly is. And
look what they're doing in the community. Look at the amount of football teams they've got, the young kids, the lasses. They've got an under-14s girls team as well coming through.
Fantastic.
And
really.
It's amazing. It's a different beast. I hope the whole town of Gated, if we're in a position next Saturday, the week come Saturday or whenever it is when we play Hereford, if we haven't won the league, but we're in a position there, I hope we're getting another Grimsby type of crowd. I really do.
It would be amazing, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely fantastic. But on that note, Mickey, we've filled an hour. It's more than enough for anybody. Yeah. I just say a big thank you to Matthew Reisbeck. As I say, we tried to get him on for a while, and there's been a few Newcastle games on a Thursday. Would you believe it? Yeah. So we managed to get him on, and great value, lovely lad, Razor is. And as we said earlier on, he really put Gated on the map with an extra push because of his commentary and work that he did as well. And Taylor Howie has put the soul gave the club a soul. Well, what a way to end the show. Mickey, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always. We'll see you on Saturday, 2:45 with the build-up if you are unable to get to the game. But please do get down there. That's where you should be. And we will bring in you full match commentary with Mark Rubbers. And we will bring you commentary on Monday as well. And hopefully this time next week, we are still in a positive mood. Keep them fingers crossed. And we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Whoop, we're still on. Bye.